Good morning. Boy, we're definitely in need of prayer this morning in Maine. If you have any kind of political interest and you care about Maine and you have any kind of common sense, then you're waking up this morning to bad news indeed. Bad news indeed. So we'll see if we can find any silver lining in the dark storm clouds that are forming as America prepares for its mid-term elections in 2026. But here in Maine, it's a really important election because we choose our chief executive next year, who serves for 4 years, the governor of Maine, and that's going to be the political contest that draws the most interest and fire. So it's going to be a big political year coming up, and the activists that I listen to are, I'm sure, panicked because they were all in. They were all in with this question 1, question 2 vote, and seeing it as tea leaves for what's going to happen next year, and predicting that if the good guys lost us, then this might be a dark signal for next year's results in Maine. So we're going to talk about all that this morning with some help from Bobby Charles and from others who have opinions and who are on the stage, so to speak. But I've been beginning my live streams this week entreating in prayer an angel. And I know most of the people who might be watching my show now are Protestants or evangelicals, conservative evangelicals. I'm not doing this to offend you. Okay. In 2020, I entered the Catholic Church, so I'm a Catholic now. So I beg you to practice that tolerance that you're so proud of with poor little old me, poor little old misguided Roman Catholic me, as I say a prayer to an angel. I know that's forbidden, right? It's not in the Bible, whatever. Can we just set all that aside for a moment? Can we tolerate one another? You pray your way. I'm going to pray my way. I'm going to pray to an angel. Saint Michael, the archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan. Jezebel Janet Kills is on her way there. Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. Sorry to interrupt the prayer with a little political commentary there. My apologies to St. Michael and to you. I don't know whether Jezebel Janet Kill is going to spend eternity in hell or in heaven. That's not my decision to make. God will make that decision. And I'm thankful I don't have to make it. I'm not in that position. So, amen. So St. Michael is on our side. He doesn't want babies to be murdered in the womb in Maine. He doesn't want civil marriage to include sodomy. He doesn't want Maine to have weak borders. He wants Maine to have the same strength in her borders and walls that the Vatican enjoys in Rome. We build fences and we build walls because that's how we make sense of the world. We put frames around pictures. We, when we're creating art, that's what we do. We create borders, and then within those borders, we create communities and policies, using politics in order to create laws and rules that make sense to the human beings who occupy that physical space. And in our case, it's here in Maine, tucked up in the northeastern corner of the United States of America. And so we know that this is the political task to work out a political arrangement that works for all of us, every single Mainer, especially the most vulnerable, like babies in the womb and children who are being groomed with the support of our government by men who pretend that they're married and women who pretend that they're married when they're actually grooming children to be confused and troubled and social engineered toward horrors in this life and perhaps hell in the next. So that's what we stand for. That's why I do this in the morning, is to bring those truths to the forefront. And I want to get started this morning by listening to Bobby Charles. Why? I don't know if I'm going to publicly endorse next year in the governor's race or in any race. I may choose not to do that. But I am going to speak out. I can promise you that. I am going to speak out. Honestly, I am going to offer my perspective on, hopefully, on as many of the candidates as I can consider and talk about. So let me see here. I'm going to bring this up. There it is. I'll go here. And I'll go here. Oh, that didn't work. Let's go do that. All right. Let's get rid of that. Got it nice and big. All right. So what are we talking about here? Come back here. So what we're talking about is one of 8 candidates for governor of Maine, a man born in Wayne, Maine, and probably around my age, maybe a little younger, maybe a little older, I'm not sure, but spent his career at near the highest levels of our national government, working within the Republican side of things. He says that he's qualified to become governor of Maine or serve as governor of Maine because he led a large national government institution. I can't remember the name of it, but lots of employees, big budgets. I'm not personally convinced that qualifies him to manage Maine's government, but maybe it doesn't hurt. Maybe. Why am I skeptical of that? Well, because he served under Bush, and he's an old school boomer, right wing sensibilities and narrative. You're going to see that in this 2-minute response to what happened yesterday, and I'm going to comment on it. None of us trust these political figures, especially the ones who are saying things that we want to hear. None of us trust that anymore. Right out of the gate, we don't trust it. We know we've experienced the effect of the lies, the disconnect between the campaign rhetoric and the actions that are taken after these men and women gain power, especially at the state and at the national level, but now even at the local level. It's just insane. Once people get into a position where they can lead a committee or they're on a committee, even a school board, even something as low level as a school board, they become tyrants. They become authoritarians. So what they do is they immediately run to the lawyers, and the lawyers, of course, are beholden to the money, not to the Constitution. And then and then you can't get anything done because it's just the lawyers that tell you what to do. And they are especially good at making the compliant feel important. And obviously it hasn't worked, right? It's not working. Not for common sense, not for the people of Maine, not for what's good, true, and beautiful. It's not working. So anyway, why Bobby Charles? Why do I have Bobby Charles up here and not one of the other 7? Well, I'm on X, so I let Facebook pass me by because it always felt womanish to me, and I've got an account, but I've never really gone to live there socially in terms of the internet. But when Musk bought Twitter after Dorsey sort of wore his left-leaning political convictions on his sleeve, and ended up creating this nightmare because he threw Trump off of Twitter, and then Musk bought it, promising that it was going to become sort of the public square, right? I said, well, I think God is always going someplace good, and he writes straight with crooked lines. And do I trust Musk? Of course I don't. He's just another big tech guy, and what a weird. How many kids by how many women? It's just weird. The guy's weird. And but anyway, that's what he said. So I jumped onto X like a year ago or so, and have been using it. It's the one I use predominantly. But on a future show, I'm going to show you what I'm doing with X that is enabling me to live in that transitional zone on the internet, where we're moving from these controlled, manipulated American big tech platforms to something more free and more hopeful when it comes to being truly social online. I'm going to be talking about that in the future. But anyway, so Bobby Charles has been all over my X feed. Now, maybe my X feed would be full of John Bush or Owen whatever, or what, one of the other 7, if the algorithm wasn't manipulating. I don't know. But I know that it appears to me that Charles is spending a lot of money on social media, because I also see him often on Facebook. So he's spending a lot of money on social. He's been doing that from the beginning. And at the beginning, it was his own personal money. And my takeaway from that is that he understands how important social media is going to be if he's going to want to truly win the governor's race. I see evidence to suggest that this guy gets it. He understands. Now, does that mean John Bush isn't going to be able to make effective use? Of course he is. He's got all the money in the world, whereas Charles doesn't. He's not a Bush, right? Maybe he's loyal to the Bush family. He worked for the Bush family, but he's not a Bush, and John is a Bush, and Charles is facing a Bush, and Bushes have endless money because they've been that family is part of this cabal that is destroying the United States of America. Does that mean that I thought John Bush? I've only watched half of the gubernatorial debate. I'm going to watch the other half sometime soon, hopefully. But in my opinion, the half that I watched, John Bush stood head and shoulders above Bobby Charles and all the rest of them. I would put Bobby Charles second. But John Bush's narrative and the promises he was making I was impressed with him, with John Bush. But like I say, I don't think I'm going to endorse. But I am going to speak my mind about all these guys. So Bobby's been shown. He gets it. He's going to focus himself on making effective use of Facebook and Instagram and X and social media. He's going to do that. It looks like. I mean, he's already done it. So he's doing it. So that's why I'm pulling him up, because the election was just yesterday, and he must have done this video during the night. So so he's putting the right value on communicating directly with Maine people using social media. So it's almost 3 minutes long. So I'm going to start it here, and I'll be pausing it as we go to make comments. But this is Bobby Charles. He's a hopeful for governor of Maine in 2026. Gotta go here and here.
My fellow Mainers, this is Bobby Charles, and I'm here to give you some hope on what seems an awful dark night. What we've witnessed in the state of Maine tonight, is that distortion of the truth and attempts by those that really fit somewhere between socialist and communist to try to take over this state are, when not opposed or when not aptly opposed, are somehow able to succeed. Both of these referendum questions are probably going to go down today. And what does that mean? It means it's a throwdown for us. It means we have to stand up and remember who we are. In Bangor tonight, they elected a communist, a murderer, a woman who stuffed sand in her victim's face until they died, and a pro-homeless person. Is that Maine? Is that who we are today? Is that what we're supposed to do, is just give up and say that's the new Maine? Absolutely not. When it is darkest is when the true fight begins. And that is now in the state of Maine.
He is, this was very well done, what he just said. I especially like the fact that he brought in the local color about Bangor and the winners there being as wicked as they are. Maine people who hear these remarks are going to realize that this is true of the Democrats now. And this is why I think next year's is not going to be good. Yeah, I know we lost yesterday. The good guys lost yesterday, but this is like, I haven't seen the turnout, but this was a municipal election. So there weren't a lot of questions, and there were almost no candidates to draw people to the polls. And the ballot questions themselves were, like Steve Robinson commented this morning, that question one was just plain confusing. And then, of course, the Democrats spent $2 million lying about it, that it was going to take away absentee ballots. And I think a lot of Maine people just threw up their hands and said, we're so fed up with all of this that it may have affected the turnout. And so Bobby is timely here in what he's saying, and he's pointed in using the word communist to describe the Democrats, and he's backing it up by referencing candidates in Bangor who prove how unhinged and murderous these people are. The no kings people, the left wingers, the Democrats. This is not. We've moved from any kind of sensible or reasonable politics that addresses the concerns of all Maine people to rabid, radical ideology that is demonic on the Democratic side. And then on the Republican side, you've just got pure weakness. There's no moral vocabulary. You're going to see this as we continue to watch Charles here. How weak our narrative is, how weak our vocabulary is. It lacks any kind of moral punch, moral strength, moral purchase. It doesn't reach into our hearts and grab us and inspire us to come to the front lines. It doesn't do that. Our language can't do that. And I'm going to show you why here as Bobby continues. But I wanted to say that so far, he's done great. He's done great. That point about Bangor, brilliant, perfect.
This is the beginning, the throwdown for the beginning of 2026. We will either do as Ronald Reagan did, for example, in California.
I think it's a mistake for Charles to bring up Ronald Reagan or the Bushes, and he does it frequently. Of course, he worked within the Bushes, and I understand he feels some loyalty because that's his people, right? That's his past. But people today, especially younger people, number one, they don't even know who Reagan is. They don't know a blooming thing about the guy, or Bush for that matter. And we're going to need next year. We're going to need young people. We're going to especially need the young people who have helped to make Nick Fuentes an everyday word now, ever since he appeared on Tucker Carlson. Now, Nick before that was a force to be reckoned with because of young men, young gaming men, young boys and young men who have grown up playing video games and listening to Nick's narrative and either deciding for or against him. So he is a force in politics now to be reckoned with. And that's who Bobby needs to start talking about. He needs to not be talking about Ronald Reagan or George Bush, because these are figures from the past that are severely compromised now because of the forever wars and all the stuff that's gone over the dam since 9/11, all the questions, all the turmoil and drama on the internet and in the media related to these historical figures. Bobby doesn't have time to sort that out. He needs to build toward the future. And so he needs to be talking about figures like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes. And he needs to be helping Maine people come to terms with what these narratives and these leaders online represent to Maine. Tens of thousands of Maine people are thinking about Nick Fuentes right now. And they're thinking about what Tucker and Nick talked about. And they're thinking about Candace and her, the work that she's doing in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk event. So Charlie's, Bobby Charles this is where he's going to need to focus his attention, not looking back to Ronald Reagan and George Bush and bragging about being the leader of some government department. Maine people are not looking for another government department leader, someone who led tens of thousands of people and $28 trillion budgets, because I worked within the national government, the federal government. So you should support me because this great management skill that I learned is going to be very helpful to me as I lead the much smaller state of Maine with only this many employees and this much smaller of a budget, only $1 trillion instead of $28 trillion, like I am used to working with as a manager and budgeting and blah, blah, blah. Maine, no. Bobby Scott, he's starting to get the narrative he needs. I believe he's sincere about having been born and having been born in Wayne, Maine, and raised there in Maine. He's I think much closer to the DNA of Maine men and women than, say, John Bush. There's others of the eight who can lay claim to a similar past in that sense. But I would say Bobby at this point is front running this race because of how much money he's spent. He's been very active. Now Wessels has been out longer, but he obviously has and he's been on social to his credit, but he doesn't have the punch. He doesn't have the same gravitas, shall we say, that Bobby has. at this point. So now, does that mean that Wessels can't make up for that and build on what he's done? He's traveled around Maine. He's a very sincere fellow, a family man, a businessman. I like him. But as my good friend Paul Medore likes to say, Maine needs a force of nature to be governor, to be the chief of the executive. The times that we're going into here, that we're living into, are going to require something special, a force of nature. I like that phrase very much. So, okay. So this is Bobby going on, reflecting on yesterday.
When he faced this kind of thing in the 1960s, and he won, and he turned California around, and incredibly enough became president, and then he brought the Soviet Union to its knees. Why? How? He woke up every day and he did the right thing. That's what most Mainers do. They get up every day, they know right from wrong, they know boys from girls, they know what it means to work hard, not to be taking money from the state and from others. They actually know the difference between good leadership and bad.
That was good. He used Reagan as the example of Reagan. He woke up every day and did the right thing. I think a lot of the younger men, especially, are going to say, yeah, right, he did. Yeah, Reagan. None of those politicians from the past woke up every day and did the right thing, right? So, but there is a good feeling among boomers, many boomers, about Ronald Reagan. Not left-wingers, not rabid left-wingers like the ones who are in control of the Democratic Party today, and like what Democrat boomers have allowed themselves to become by taking such a perverted approach to sexuality, especially. I mean, they've just completely destroyed their minds, their souls, really. They've destroyed their souls, and therefore their minds are not nourished by anything moral, by anything truly good, true or beautiful. Their hearts are black because the Democratic Party in Maine, if it's identified with anything socially, it's identified with murdering babies, making sure that the laws are strong with respect to murdering babies in the womb, and making sure that Maine's laws protect the victims, and the victims are your grandchildren who think they're a cat or a dog, and you don't even know it, because the adults in the room, adults, quote unquote, in the room in the public schools have been fully brainwashed and propagandized to condition your children to think that they're cats and they're dogs if they want to. It's all about the child being given the room to decide whether they're whatever, any of these identity, gender, whatever they are. And this is the faculty of every single public school in Maine, legally, but also psychologically, because we've allowed our schools to be perverted, to become perverted culturally, legally. The laws are all there to be on the side of little Johnny if he decides that he's a victim. All he has to do is claim victimhood status, and you, the parent, don't get to know that little Johnny is actually living as Susie when he's at school, because the schools are under law. They have to keep it from you. All little Johnny has to do is say, "Oh, I'm afraid of Daddy. I'm afraid of Mommy," knowing. So please, dear social worker, please, dear principal, please, dear teacher, make sure that my parents don't find out. And they have to honor that. This is how insane and hellish and how much like a prison Maine's every single public school in Maine is a prison now. It's been a prison. But look at them. Just look at the buildings when you drive by. They're prisons. They're just like prisons. They look like prisons. They act like prisons. They are prisons for your children. And you're turning your children and your grandchildren over to the most diabolical adults that think of themselves as teachers that Maine has ever created. Oh man, I'm off on a rant now. We were talking about Bobby Charles, but I think Bobby Charles is may have a little bit of this narrative burning in his heart and in his mind. I'm not sure, but I like what he says here about waking up every day and doing what's right, and by appealing to Maine workers, Maine people, by appealing to their sense of doing that, getting up every day and working hard and doing the next right thing. I like that he's appealing to that. So let's continue on here.
That's who we historically have been. We grew up with World War II values. So my mission is to tell you tonight,
Now, there's another mistake. World War II values. I'm laughing because there's so many. I had someone, what was it, yesterday maybe, an old boomer like me, say, "Have you seen Europa?" Bob, I don't think Bobby's seen Europa yet. He needs to see Europa. It's everywhere online for free. It's a long documentary. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I've encountered most, if not all, of the ideas that are communicated through that documentary through reading books. If you're going to refer to World War II, you'll get the boomer vote, maybe, but below the boomers, I don't know. You're taking a risk. I don't think you want to be saying that, Bobby, because the World War II order, the Bretton Woods system, economic system that was spun up after that helped to create the foundation for the dollar bill that was then on the gold standard, but then in 1971 was taken off the gold standard in the most corrupt way possible. Because France was saying we want all that gold in Fort Knox that belongs to us, and so Nixon said, "Well, I guess we'll just take the dollar off the gold standard then, because we're not going to give you that gold." So now everybody even wonders if the gold's there. So and that helps to make in Fort Knox. I mean, and it didn't Trump promise to open the doors and take us in? Whatever happened to that promise? So many of Trump's anyway. I'm not going to go down that road. So, yeah, referencing World War II is going to have to be done with a little more context if Bobby's going to continue to go down that road. He's going to limit himself to being attractive to boomers, and he's going to risk losing the younger men and just younger people in general. Because, like I say, the truth about what's happened since World War II as the English Empire slipped its hand into the velvet glove of the United States of America in order to continue the English Empire. We're just the continuation of the English Empire. So, the Bank of London, that whole fiat system that was spun up by the English central banking system, that whole thing preceded our becoming an empire. And so when Britain lost their empirical power, the power of empire in World War II, they didn't just go away. Those old families and those old economics, central banking economics, they're more potent today than they ever were. So it's just the English hand in the velvet glove, which is the United States of America. It's the death rattle. We're living through the death rattle of the English Empire. Colonialism, all of that kind of thing. And so many people know this now. If you reference World War II as if it's something, praiseworthy, I mean, risky. It's a risky political move, in my opinion. Now, so it's gonna, if the staff is watching this video, then maybe, I don't know if Bobby will ever watch it, but do something about that.
Hope. This is the beginning. Have faith. This is where it all begins. This is where we begin to fight for the values that we truly know Maine both has long represented and needs to represent in the future.
Okay, so Bobby uses, we're going to finish it up. He's only got another number of seconds to go. But so the Republicans have got a lot of hard work to do. just like Christians do who have any sort of concern about politics. And this is the word where we have to do the most work: values. And you're going to hear him say it a couple more times in the speech. It's too weak. Talking about values is too weak. We need to find a moral, some words, a vocabulary, a narrative that is freighted with moral outrage, freighted, infused with moral concern and moral truth, or we're going to lose. Bobby's going to lose. John Bush is going to lose. The right, we're going to lose. That we're going to stay blue. The Democrats are going to spend an immense amount of money. They're going to lie. They're going to do what they've always done. They're going to make it seem like Christianity is on the side of the immigrants, and Christianity is on the side of the woman who kills her baby, and Christianity is on the side of the poor victim gay people, and Christianity, they're going to make it seem like that's the truth by spending an immense amount of money. That's what they're going to do next year. There. And if we don't pivot, if Christians and people who know better don't find a way to pivot away from this values oriented language when it's time to talk about morals and morality and right and wrong and righteousness and goodness and truth and beauty, if we don't discover a narrative, create one, form one that works politically in Maine, we will lose. All the money, all the time, it will be spent for naught, because the other side is going to have more money. They're going to spend more money. They're going to use sophisticated, layered social media, propagandistic, mainstream media approach that will prove, in the absence of anything contrary, of anything effective, in terms of a narrative that captures the moral outrage that Maine people feel and the moral concern that Maine people have right now, we'll lose. We'll lose. They will win. We will remain blue. We will take another baby step in the direction moving from socialism, practical socialism, which is what we've been our entire lifetime, into a harder version of communism, not pure communism, and just like it hasn't been pure socialism. It's kind of the American version of these ideologies, socialism and communism. And all of these words, by the way, are not terribly helpful. Communism, socialism, fascism, these are categories that don't work anymore. They don't fit. And so getting beyond this, or moving into the future with an intact state that is legal, that functions in a legal way, which means we function under the order, the priority of the Maine state constitution, it's going to take hard work. It's going to take some closed door fights within the Bobby Charles campaign, within the Republican Party, within all of the Christian Civic League of Maine, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Portland, the business, the business, what is it called? The Maine Chamber of Commerce, the farming, whatever the farming lobby group is called, Maine Farmers Association, whatever it is. It's going to take really fresh, creative, new, hard thinking and work if we hope to turn the corner next year and begin to build a foundation upon which Maine people can secure a future for children and grandchildren, and create a culture where they have a job tomorrow that isn't that isn't serving as a slave to oligarchs in 15-minute cities that are spun up in Bangor and Portland, and while the rest of Maine is turned into a park for the oligarchs to enjoy. That's the future that's been described by the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization. That's the future for Maine. We're going to have 15-minute cities in Bangor and in Portland. We're all going to be chipped up and smartphoned up, and we're all going to be totally surveilled and controlled. And the new robots that are coming out, this new Neo robot and Musk's Tesla robot, these are all going to be part of the control grid that we have learned to live with, because we don't want to wash the dishes. We'd rather have a robot wash the dishes. We don't want to fold our own laundry. We'd rather have a robot fold our laundry for us. We don't want to rock our babies to sleep. We don't want to breastfeed our babies. We'd rather have a robot rock our babies to sleep, because it's annoying to have to rock a baby to sleep. You see, that's this techno ridiculous world that Musk and the boys and Trump even are spinning up. Larry Ellison. That's it. It's not an argument. You can't argue that anymore. It's all over your Facebook feed. Neo, the new robot, the new comfy gray, two nice little eyes. That's what they're building with AI and these data centers and these slaves in Bangladesh who are going to control Neo by wearing a virtual headset while the laundry gets folded. Did you know that about the Neo robot? It does. They're saying that it's going to fold your laundry, but it's not. It's a guy in Bangladesh who they're going to be paying with your subscription money to wear a VR headset and control the robot from halfway around the world while it folds the laundry. And then while it's doing that, it's saving all the data points regarding your home and the place and all this and that, so that the robot will become smarter. Will it become smart enough to do it without the Bangladeshi inhabiting the robot and doing the work? Oh, nobody knows. But that's the plan, is that it's going to collect all these data points and it's going to continue to get smarter through AI, and eventually it's going to be autonomous. That's the promise, right? Hey, maybe not. We don't know. Too early to tell. But and then I'm going to do a future show on this, because even if the robot becomes autonomous, is that what you want? I haven't. No, no, thank you very much. I'm not just because I'm a boomer. I don't think. Do I? I don't know. I kind of would like to have a robot around to mow the lawn, I guess. But we're going to have to draw some lines going forward here with all this technology that's driven by the internet and AI. We're going to have to draw lines. Going to have to. This is not working at all. But these tech geniuses with all the money, they think they're gonna figure it out and make it work, so that we're all humans. But at the same time, they're all supportive of Klaus Schwab and his idea that you're not going to own anything and you're going to be happy about it, right? So, which is it? Which is it? Are we going to become slaves to the technology, or are we going to bring it under control? Anyway, that's a free rant off on the side thing there. Let me see if there's any comments. No comments yet. You can comment, by the way, if you're watching, and ask a question or whatever. So let's finish up on Bobby Charles here.
And what are we up against? Well, we now know the contrast is severe. We are up against a group of people that have no respect for the history of Maine, no respect for values, no respect for education, no respect for hard work, no respect for the free markets, no respect for the idea that we don't need drug traffickers here, no respect for public safety, and no respect for the hardworking Mainers that are Maine. So here's the bottom line. We are Maine. And my plea to you tonight is take on the chin what we're looking at and understand it for what it is. The battle lines have been drawn. You either believe that the future of Maine is about Maine and Mainers, or you believe it's about communism and importing California here. For me, I'm in the fight. If you're in the fight with me, BobbyForMaine.com. And let's take it to them. It is time. This is the beginning of the one-year race to reclaiming our state.
So I like that. Take it to them. A little weak with the respect series of points. It's not that they don't respect these things. It's that they hate the traditions and history of Maine, especially the Christian history and traditions of Maine. They hate it. They are all, who's they? The Democrats, the left, the communists, the socialists, whatever you want to call them. They hate everything about Christianity that doesn't fit into this this weak, vapid, inaccurate presentation of Christianity, where a lot of people like to call it nicer than Jesus Christianity. It's the kind of Christianity that overlooks the fact that an immigrant is illegal. I mean, that debate is so simple for Christians because the Vatican has walls and borders, Maine has walls and borders, your house has fences. Like I said earlier, we put frames around pictures for reasons. If you're here illegally, then we have a duty, our government has a duty to send you home if you're here. It's not complicated. We shouldn't have to spend a lot of money. We definitely shouldn't be giving them driver's license. If they are here illegally, then they need to be sent home. And what is illegal? Well, if they claim that they're fleeing some kind of persecution, then they got to prove it. They got to prove that they're like this, the Somalis in the thousands. Now, is there violence there? Is there trouble there? No doubt about it. It's Africa. There's going to be trouble here soon. And so, are they? What do they call it? Asylum seekers? Are they asylum seekers? If people are seeking asylum in the hundreds or thousands, or even individually, but especially in large groups, then there has got to be evidence that identifies every single individual to a kind of violence that is life-threatening. And we don't bring whole great big groups. No, what we do with the wealth and the power of the West is we go to Somalia, if it's our business to help in Somalia, to help fix that, and that's a question, that's a moral question. Is it our business? Should we be involved with fixing it? But if the large groups are in need of being transported halfway around the world to settle as large groups in places like Lewiston, Maine, bringing a foreign religion, a religion that we're not familiar with in Maine, Islam, and bringing it with 1,000 adherents and dropping it right down in the middle of Lewiston, Maine. No, we don't. No, that's ridiculous. That's insane. That should be illegal. That is wrong. If we are concerned about those 1,000 Somalis, that concerned that we would be willing to put them on a plane in large groups and transport them halfway around the world, put them on welfare, and then that is wrong. What we should be doing is intervening within Somalia in such a way that we separate. I don't know what the solution is politically or whatever, but these people are Somalis. They're not Mainers. They need to remain Somalis. That's their home. They need to fix their home. Another rant on the whole immigration issue, but it's not that the Democrats don't respect tradition and history and religion. It's that they hate tradition. They hate our history. They hate Christianity. They think that they are Christians, many of them, because they're willing to have victims among us. They're willing to have these people from foreign lands with foreign ways live amongst them. But what's funny about these boomer no kings people, they're not inviting these Muslim Somalis to live in their neighborhood, to live on their street, to move into their house. Oh no. Oh no. No. These people tend to be the ones that live on the shorefronts. They live in, we don't have many gated communities in Maine, but they live in these safe, right, communities where everyone kind of looks and talks the same, and there's a little bit of a history there, and it just feels very safe. They're not inviting this foreign element into their neighborhood. They're inviting them into your neighborhood. And the reason that's happening is because the powers above them, the oligarchy, is getting richer and richer and richer by stirring the pot, by creating all of this chaos. So that's Bobby Charles. That's his take on yesterday, on the outcome. So I want to, let's see, go here. In the final 10 minutes of the show, I'm going to just pull up my X account here. So I was up early this morning, couldn't sleep. That happens often. And so I went out on X. This is my X account. If you want to follow me there, it's at Evan McKeon. At Evan McKeon is the account thing. This is funny. 1,050 followers. I've done a lot of tweets. I don't know where the number of tweets is, or posts, since this is now X. But anyway, I'm so throttled on here. It's unbelievable. Freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach, right? So, oh, there we are. I guess I am on live on X. So let me scroll down here. So I made a dozen or so posts this morning, and I wanted to talk about some of them. Let's see, what time is it? 6:51. Okay. See if anybody has any questions. Anybody got any questions? If you got a question for me or a comment, go ahead and type it in, and I'll see it, and we can go there if need be. Scrolling. Yeah. Yeah, I want to look at this one. Let's see. So Steve Robinson, who I have a lot of respect for, wrote this this morning, and I thought these insights are very helpful about what happened yesterday. Over 170,000 people signed the voter ID petition to get it on the ballot. That's a lot of people. Kudos to Laura Libby and the crowd for pulling that off. But yes on one votes are projected to be far fewer as voter ID loses tonight in Maine. I guess it did lose. The proposed language combined complex absentee ballot rules with simple voter ID, a tactical blunder. This let Democrats frame the no campaign as saving absentee voting, weakening support for a popular election integrity measure. Donors saw the flaw, and yes on one lacked funding, a simple voter ID. They still, I think the number I saw this morning was $700. They still raised and spent $700,000, which is credible for a ballot fight in Maine, I think. But a simple ID measure, a voter ID measure, would likely have gained more votes, given its popularity in Maine. Could have impacted question 2 with a proper ad campaign. Flawed question allowed Chenabellos to issue biased language, causing disunity and pessimism among supporters. He goes on to say, if conservative disunity persists, Maine will slide further into a third world mess, a crony capitalist mafia state, and a haven for progressive scams. That is so true. Spot on. And he says the three are related, and indeed they are. On the bright side, the effort forced Democrats to spend heavily to protect non-citizen and Alzheimer's patient vote harvesting. And with Election Day passed, Inspector Bellows might finally investigate how UPS Teamsters ended up distributing absentee ballots in Amazon Prime packages. Yes, well said, Steve, Big Steve. So my reaction, helpful analysis. I've always waged ballot wars with confusing ballot questions written by enemies of Christianity, namely Democrats. Republicans are almost worse, but not quite. We won two big ones before the money game spun out of control in Maine. And what I'm talking about, referring to there, is the 1999 vote on gay rights and then the 2001 or 2 vote, both of which we were supposed to lose, and we were outspent 5 or 10 to 1. And the ballot questions were god awful, but we made our strategy to confront the bad ballot questions proved effective. But it took hard work to do that. For example, oh shoot, I never put my microphone on. I hope you guys could hear me. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. So the Republicans are almost worse, but not quite. We won 2 big ones before the money game spun out of control in Maine. Politics, like economics, exists at a lower level than ethics in human philosophy and society. Fix the ethics and we fix the government and the money. And Maine will never fix any of this if it continues to ignore religion and crucify Christianity. Ma'am Damies, the guy who's now the mayor of New York, we've got our own London now on this side of the pond. He's a Muslim, and he's in charge of America's perhaps most powerful, certainly one of its biggest, most important cities, and it's now head and mayor. The mayor is Muslim. The Ma'am Damies of politics / religion aren't going to fix Maine. Taking our Christian heritage seriously will help repair the breach opened by insane and murderous ideologies. Keep up the good work, Big Steve. So that's I thought that's good. Yeah, the Maine Wire is doing good work. And then I thought this was fun. So this is Chuck Ellis. He's a podcaster. He's also, I think, the chairman of the Cumberland County Republicans. I don't understand everything he wrote here, but Bowdoin admin canceled our Charlie Kirk vigil over an external security threat. Turns out it was one fellow student who complained, of course. They shut us down anyway. I don't know what, 3 conservative profs, 240 left-leaning. I don't know. Oh, I see. So what he's saying here is there's 3 conservative professors at Bowdoin, and there's 240 professors who are left-leaning. Gee, of course. Post-election meltdown, therapy puppies on deck. I got double soothed. This is what tolerance looks like in America's wokest campus. Zach Asplin, whatever, remembering Charlie Kirk event, president, Bowdoin College Conservatives chairman, Maine College. So then there's a YouTube here. I haven't had time to watch that, but I went to Bowdoin College in 2005. I went there. The Bowdoin College Republicans had me speak to a packed hall in 2005, and here's the speech I gave. American education is down for the count. So this was the speech that I wrote. Share this tab instead. There we go. Yeah. So 2005, the vision place of souls, or why there are so many bush bashers, dream catchers, and soul snatchers. This was back when I was leading the Christian Civic League of Maine. And I'm just going to read the beginning here. It's a pleasure and an honor for me to be here tonight. Bowdoin's a truly great institution. A past president of Bowdoin, William DeWitt Hyde, was the speaker at the first convention of the Christian Civic League of Maine. How about that, huh? I'll bet you don't hear that. But that doesn't get taught in Bowdoin's history classes. A portrait of a man I admire greatly, former Bowdoin professor, hangs on the wall opposite my desk, and that's the Civil War hero, Joshua Chamberlain. I will have more to say about him later. And so then it goes on. So I gave that speech on all of Maine's significant college campuses to packed audiences. And anyway, I won't go down that road. Maybe I'll do a show maybe we'll do a show on the Vision Place of Souls. Yeah, we will. I will do that sometime. What am I doing? I'm going to go here. All right. So, yeah. So anyway, oh, it's all good. It's all good. God is good. Let me pull this back up. And did the red flag laws pass? Let's see. Did the red flag laws pass? The bad guys won, meaning that was question 2. So I believe the way that went was a yes vote meant that the law, it was a people's veto. So if a yes vote, anyway, the bad guys won. So the communist sense, reaction to guns is prevailed in that contest. And then on question 1 was, of course, the voter ID, and the good guys lost that one as well. Laura Libby's side lost. And I voted on a local issue, which was going into debt to build a town office that I don't think is necessary. That passed. So my little town is going to put a much greater burden, of course, on the property taxpayers going forward, so that our part-time staff over at this small town office can live in a Taj Mahal, brand new headquarters building. What makes us so stupid on this stuff? Well, the reason is because we the only thing we do when we think about government now is we don't think about morality or what's good, true, and beautiful, or ethics, or philosophy, or theology, or any of those things. It's just money. It's all about money. We can't fix the money because we won't think higher than money. We won't put money in its proper context. Everybody wants money. Everybody wants more money. And so we don't end up fixing anything. And we see our government being run by money instead of the rule of law, instead of the moral law, instead of what's good, true, and beautiful. So thanks for tuning in, Shane. Appreciate it. And so I'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. with more. So get your coffee ready early and join me. And if you want to, please share and like and post this thing around. It's on YouTube. It's on X. I don't know how X works in terms of the archive, but YouTube automatically archives it. So you can go to my channel and share it within YouTube if that's your platform of choice. But the one that I recommend you use is michaelheath.tv, because I know it'll be there forever as long as I pay my bills, and the reach can't be throttled, and I can't be canceled by Elon. And so that's why I focus my energies there. Let's pray Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. And I will see you tomorrow.